Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world. Are you ready to pick your next book you want to read? Are you ready to pick which books you want to give out during the holidays? Check this one out. Escape from the Dark World is volume 4 of 4. You can give people the whole set of these books or give one of each of the volumes to different members of your family, then you guys could trade up after. I've asked the author to come on and tell us a little bit about this book, D.G. McCool. Welcome, D.G.
Thank you for having me on the show.
By the way, tell our viewers where you are.
Yeah, I'm in Trinity, Texas, just about an hour and a half north of Houston.
I've been asking people if they're in snow yet, but do you have that there, snow? You get snowed on?
Not here, but they're expecting freezing temperatures next week.
Wow, incredible. By the way, you've been writing your whole life, like 40 years or so?
True,
but
yes.
Just a couple years you decided to start putting the work out there. Is that 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
In 2021, I published the first book, and right now, total books out, I have about 15.
Wow.
Of this series. It's the 4 main core books.
Yeah, that's amazing. That many books in that amount of time. Do you think all those years of writing, did you hone your skill and then decide it's ready to go?
Yes, like a lot of writers, I wrote a lot of manuscripts that just sat idle in notebooks with, even some of them with pen and paper. And then finally in 2020, I got serious and I had taken some writing classes and so forth to kind of get ready to actually try to get something published. And then in 2021, I moved forward with that.
Wow. Now, did you go back to some of those notes and old manuscripts and revise them?
Yeah, the one book we've spoken about before, Future Conquests, the whole manuscript was written in 2010, and it was co-written with a friend of mine, Stephen Meeks, and it's set idle. And after I launched this series we're talking about, the Dark World series, I went back after book 1 came out and took the manuscript from the other book, Future Conquests, and got it published. That one sat idle for a while, but since 2021, the 4 main volumes there of the Dark World have came out, and then I kind of went back and wrote a little prequel introductory guide before book 1, and then there's a supplemental guide that kind of tells you more about the type of characters that are in the book series. It's a standalone also.
Yeah, I ask you this because so many of our viewers are right on the precipice of doing something, and some think they're too old or it's too late or,
Right.
something. But you did it, and you've been very successful at it.
Thank you.
By the way, here is, I'm just going to flash. The series is called what? Dark World?
The Dark World, yes, sir.
Yeah. Here's book 1. Here's book 2. Here's book 3. And then we're here today to talk about this, an Escape from the Dark World, book 4. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Tell us about that, Dale.
Yeah, throughout the series, it kind of, to give a little background real quick, the series focuses on the planet Earth and people from the dinosaur age with reptilian aliens through the Anunnaki and coming on and creating humans. And then it kind of goes into the current times where you have the reptilian aliens disguising themselves as humans in the government working with them to hide all this. And so it works up to the book point of book 4, which is a certain small group of humans are still free. They're located in a secure area. They're being guarded by a security force with the alien Greys. And they realize this is a temporary situation as the other aliens are taking complete control of the globe and putting a new world order in place. And so the focus is for them to try to work together, and then if they can't defeat the aliens, look at a way to get off the planet so they have opportunity to save the human race.
Sorry, Dale. I'm joking a bit here. Now, some of these terms you use, Anunnakis and gray people and stuff, we hear that in current media.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but when my first book came out in 2021, I had some things in there that hadn't really been a lot in the media, and then in the last few years they came out more. And in my earlier stories, it was about a whistleblower at the beginning of book 1, he's a government whistleblower, and he's telling people about the government's hiding aliens and flying saucers and all this stuff, and the government's chasing him down, and he goes through some adventures of his own, and then the story kind of shifts into the Dylan Bryant, the main character throughout the series, and he's carrying on looking for the aliens and trying to expose things. And at some point, the aliens come out of hiding and start to take over and dominate the world. And at that point, the human race goes from the offense to the defense.
Do you think people are going to read this and say, wow, Dale found it out. He's discovered the truth.
Right. Well, a lot of what I write, I say it's fiction, but I do have readers who actually contact me and say, "You do realize you talk about astral projection, you talk about, the viewing, and you talk about all these other things, and talking to spirits and talking to angels, and turning your body into an orb and talking to the dead. And all this is in this complete series." And some people say this is actually absolutely real information. You're just putting it into a fictional story. And I told them, well, at least with fiction, people will read it with an open mind. If I tried to say this was all real, it would offend some people and turn them off. So if you read it as fiction, enjoy the storyline, enjoy the world I created, you'll like it. And then here in book 4, like I said, it kind of builds up to a point where the humans have to really do something if they want to survive this catastrophe that's happening.
Yeah. Now, do we need to read these in order?
You can read them actually as standalone books. If you read them in order, they make a lot more sense. Yeah. What I tried to do in each book, we talked about this before, but when I write, I always kind of write the prologue and the epilogue. And then if I'm having a multi-series, I kind of write the prologue, epilogue of all 4 books. And it kind of tells me where my storyline's starting, where that book ends, where the next will pick up. So it kind of helps me guide. And then I kind of outline some basic chapters, and then I just pantser my way through all the books. So if anybody picked up book 4 and read it right now, there's enough general information in the beginning, they would kind of understand the backstory, and they could continue. But if they really want to get, it's kind of like watching part 4 of a movie, right? Yep. If you really want to get it and understand all the tie-ins to character references and events of the past, it's really best to go to book 1, or you can go to what I call book 0, which is the introduction book. It's a very short book, and it tells you a little more about the back history of the reptilians arriving during the age of the dinosaurs and the initial Anunnaki contact with reptilians, and some things that kind of lay the groundwork that then takes forward in book 1 through 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know I've said this to you before. We have other science fiction writers on the show that I don't know how you're creating a realm, something that doesn't exist, and you've got to keep a continuity throughout 4 books. And do you have a special way to do that?
Yeah, for me, like I said, because I do kind of, I'm not really an outliner, but because I do kind of outline, I kind of know. When I started the original book 1, I didn't know for sure where book 4 would end, and even at the end of book 3, book 4 took me the longest of any books. Usually about 90 days I can get a book out. Wow. It took me over a year to get book 4 out because I kept stopping myself and rereading the first 3, and then I decided to change the storyline a little bit. Instead of digging in and fighting to the death, so to speak, on Earth, I'm like, let's give the human race an out. Yep. And then I threw in some things about Martian colonies, but the Anunnaki had, and that they were able to get some equipment from Mars, and there's some other stuff in book 4 that kind of gives the human race hope to continue to grow in the solar system and galaxy.
By the way, as you're doing book 4 and you're going back and reading book 1, 2, and 3, do you hit some spots in those books where you say, oh man, did I really do it that way? I wish I could change it.
Yeah, I've actually did that, and what and we had a conversation, I think, on my last time I was on, but in August I refreshed all the covers. Oh, yeah. And at the same time, I actually went through all 3 of the first books and kind of touched them up here and there where I saw something where I said it one way in book 2 maybe, and then by book 3 it was a little different, and I tweaked them. And in front of my books, I don't do additions, I do revisions. Yeah. So if somebody gets one of my books and they have 2 copies, and one says revision 1 and one says revision 2, 2 is going to have some of the updates in it.
Nice, very good.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, I have your web address on the screen, sandalwriters.com, sandal-writers.com. What can our viewers buy the books there? What happens?
Well, what I have there is I used to have the actual links where you could purchase directly from me, and to make it really kind of easier for the readers, if you go to that page, the very first page shows all the published books. With each book, there's a very short information about it, and there is also a hot link that'll take you to Amazon. Yeah. On Amazon, you'll be on the actual page where you can read more about it, purchase it, leave a review for every single book. And then there's a second page that's got some author background information, and then each page after that has some additional information. One of them has all the interviews I've had with you, and nice. Some other interviews I've done on there. And the one other picture I gave you, I've just recently went ahead and working with Drafted Digital. I'm having Apple Books do audiobooks for my whole series.
Oh, wow.
And so
Nice.
that book zero is out, the one that's Origins Before Humankind. I think I sent you that one, but
Yeah, I think so.
it's out already on Apple as an audio, and each of the other four core books will be following it to become an audiobook through Apple.
How do you pick your voice, your reader?
Well, because I'm doing it through Drafted Digital, they actually handle everything. I just give them the storyline and they run it through Apple, and I think they're using a AI voice, to be honest. But I do get to pick what style, and I do have an original book came out 2021 on audio called True Dreamers. In that case, I actually hired a voice actor who did the whole book for me, and for that one book. But this series here is being done with Drafted Digital and Apple to create an audiobook.
Yeah, I think I've told you before. Those letters on the page are getting smaller and smaller. I'm having more trouble reading them, so I am switching to almost all audiobooks now. So I'm anxious.
Right.
In fact, that'd be the place to start with this.
That book zero, the one on the screen, it's actually out right this minute. If you went to Apple, you'd be able. That's actually a screenshot from the Apple page.
Nice.
And you could get it, and it's reasonably priced, and get started with the storyline. And once they created it, they sent it to me to review, and it's done well enough. It's good. If a reader wants to hear the story, it's there. The biggest difference you'd have in hiring a voice actor is some of the when a reader or an author or a narrator will do multiple voices, multiple characters in a book, which I had in my first book, the True Dreamer book, or in some of the other more popular books on the market. In this case, you get one person basically reading the story to you, but they do influx their voice, and it sounds very natural, and it's good enough for this, and it tells the story. And I was excited when I listened to it because that book has never been in audio form. None of these books as they're written have been in an audiobook format.
Very good. Dale, this is so exciting. So many new things. Now, you finished the series. The fourth book, is it out or is it coming out?
Oh, it's out. It came out actually, I think around September. In September, I think it actually hit the market. So it's out right now. Book 4 is.
And what comes next?
What's that?
What comes next for Dale McCool?
Yeah, well, we talked about it in the past, but I've got a whole new series that starts next year. And this is the one where the guy is a former CIA agent, and he's working to investigate occult crimes that involve all kinds of these real-time, real-life cults out there. And but he's hired to go investigate these and find these missing people, and it's pretty wrapped up. And the series is called Mystic, and the main character is called Will Travel. His full name is William Travelden.
Nice.
But it goes by Will Travel.
Nice.
And that series is already in manuscript format, but it'll be coming out after the first year.
Very good. Yeah, my dad and I like to read those CIA, kind of books and stuff. So we'll be anxious. I'll read that with him. Dale, we're about out of time. Any last thoughts for our viewers? Anything we skipped?
No, I think everything was covered well, and like I always say, these new writers who are coming out, don't get caught up in some silly contract with somebody. Yeah. Use your resources that are available. Pay money when you need to, and just write the book you want to write. Worry about publishing it after you've gotten it written. Wonderful advice. By the way, Dale, this is the new one, Escape from the Dark World. The first in the series is here, Messenger of Dreams. Then the Ancient Ones. And then Warriors, and then this one just came out, Escape from the Dark World. So get all four. Don't be stingy when you go order books. I always order 5 copies of everything because I want everybody to be reading what I read, and I've got to go to so many parties this next couple of weeks, so every party I go to, the host is going to get a book, so that's what I like to do. Well, with those 4 there, they're out in ebook, also paperback, and hardcover. Those 4 are in hardcover also. Yeah. All right, Dale. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show. And thank you for having me. We'll see you when the next book comes out, which is going to be pretty soon, I think. We'll be right back with another author right after this.